Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay. Well, first, I just want to say thank you. It's a great opportunity to be with you. I appreciate the work that y'all have done in Houston. Uh, Houston is the energy capital of the world, whatever that form of energy is. And I'm glad to see that clean energy is growing and being accepted and developed there. So today we're gonna talk about BESS, or battery energy storage systems. They're helpful to keep the lights on, and they're saving us money, and they're clean and they're safe. Those are the things we'll be talking about. Oh, let's see. Oh, no. Let's see. Oh, okay, I had a problem there. I'm sorry. We'll get back on. Okay, I'm going to need to make an adjustment. Okay, you're seeing the second slide now?
Yes.
Okay, good. We're good. Okay. Uh, I didn't make these slides. I didn't put them together. They put a picture of me in here, so I'd be sure and tell you something about myself. Uh, I lead a nonprofit called the Hill Country Institute. We work on faith and culture issues. Well, one of my goals is to try to get Christians to think about clean energy and creation care. And I teach in churches, synagogues, wherever people are of faith are interested in learning about these issues. I've also been on the state leadership team, and we'll talk more about that later. But I've testified quite a few times, and you can see I don't have much hair on top, and that's how I lost my hair. So anyway, let's move on and talk a little bit about BESS. There's a lot of disinformation, misinformation, half truths. You call it what you will, but there's a group called the Texas Public Policy Foundation in Austin, and then there are grassroots people that they are supplying with information and assistance, and they're working to stop these projects. One of them that was stopped is in League City, so that's just down the road from you. I mean, there may be even somebody that lives in League City, but these projects at the local level are usually approved by county commissioners or city planning commissions. And we've lost three projects, one in League City, one in Gillespie County, one in Van Zant County, because of this organized effort and misinformation where they try to create fear about BESS. And BESS is valuable to the grid, clean, etc. This is a group of organizations that have joined together to really form this Yes to Best Texas coalition. We're trying to educate people, and CCL, it's a natural for CCL because it's about clean energy. Clean energy is about helping the climate. We're trying to combat this spread of misinformation. And then when these opportunities come up, if there's a hearing at a county commissioner's court or a city planning commission, we like to build up advocates to do what I'm doing. Uh, Susan and a woman named Susan Adams, who y'all probably remember as our former regional director. Well, she's doing the same thing now for Green Lights America. The states are a little bit different, but she's in that same kind of coordinating role. And she's working with a woman named Lindsay Lambert, and they trained me to do this presentation. And we'd be delighted to train anyone else who would like to do it. And that's something I'll ask for, and hopefully you can consider today. But some of our groups, it's really interesting. Conservative Texans for Energy Innovation are very pro clean energy. They're pro batteries. Of course, the Sierra Club is pro clean energy. Greenlight America is Susan's group. Project Vanguard, that's a group of veterans who are involved in clean energy. And we've got people who are in favor of private land rights and being able to put these things on your property if you want to, and then renewable energy farmers. So we've got a really interesting group, and we're adding more coalition partners as we go along. So best systems are increasing grid reliability, which reduces the risk of power outages like we had during Winter Storm Uri. They're cost effective. Batteries reduce our cost on our electric bills. They're very safe. They're highly regulated. So they're one of the safest forms of modern infrastructure. and they create income. They create income for landowners. They create income for school districts that these projects are in, for counties, for the taxing authorities that are involved in the locations of these battery storage projects. And you can see they look like a bunch of storage crates, sitting out. So they're spread out from each other, and that's part of the safety. This is a project that's actually in Houston called Jupiter Powers. It's Jupiter Powers project in Houston. So how do these things work? Well, at times there's excess power on the grid, and so the power's cheap. And so at that time, batteries download energy. Then when there's greater need, or maybe the sun's not shining or the wind's not blowing, the batteries put the energy back into the system. And that's a cost savings then. They download when it's cheap. They help to keep the price down by reloading it when the demand is up. And we'll see, talk more about some of that. These slides will be available to you, so don't worry about trying to take a lot of notes or anything. But this slide is particularly helpful. You see this chart on the left. You can see these hours, roughly 6 to 8 in the morning and 6 to 8 in the evening. That's when batteries are often the most effective. There are other times when you can see the smaller blips down there. The green shows they're recharging, the orange shows they're discharging, and there's some lower blips. If they can recharge and discharge and make money, they will do so. They don't always recharge from solar and wind, but that's the most common. It doesn't matter where the electrons are sourced, they can go into batteries. Batteries have been called the Swiss Army knife of the grid, and I think that's a good way of thinking about it. They can do a little bit of everything. The fella Aaron Zabadi down below, he's this quote: "The best fleet is literally allowing the thermal fleet to take its multi-month outages ahead of the winter season in the face of 5% plus year-on-year load growth." And translating that, the thermal generation, the batteries, thermal generation is either coal, gas, or nuclear can be included in that category, but generally gas and coal. Those plants need a lot of maintenance, and they often break down during extreme weather. When we need them the most, sometimes they're the least reliable. And the legislature, of course, likes them because they're trained to think of them as dispatchable, but they're not always dispatchable. So on October 30th, 2025, we had a cool day, and on this particular day, natural gas provided the largest portion, but batteries or power storage was second. And that means that batteries were able to download and then discharge at the times when they were needed. So we actually provided more energy from power storage than from coal. So that's the kind of thing that's happening more and more. There's 17 gigawatts of battery storage and 37 gigawatts of solar available on the grid today. The maximum usage on the grid has been around 85 gigawatts. So you can see that we're becoming a very significant part of the energy mix for Texas Energy and saving consumers a lot of money. Okay, let's see. Let's go to the next one. Whoops. Okay. Best reduced risks of power outages and cut prices by 50% during Winter Storm Fern. That was our most recent winter storm. And there you can see some of the detail down below. During some of the storm, almost 10% of the energy on the grid was provided from batteries, which is really a significant number. And you can see in the chart there how much batteries have grown. During Winter Storm Uri, we had a very low level of batteries. I think maybe 220 megawatts. 220 megawatts during at that time. Today we've got over 17,000 megawatts or 17 gigawatts. That's 77 times as much. And batteries are growing substantially on the grid. And we're very hopeful that, of course, they'll continue to grow. And again, we get back to that misinformation that is trying to create the idea that batteries are not safe and therefore they shouldn't be on the grid or they're expensive. And those are really that's really misinformation, and it's unfortunate that we're seeing that. So, but this kind of growth, we're at 17 now, so you can see how much we grew in 2025, and we're projected, based on what's in the queue, to get to 27, or 26 megawatts in by the end of 2026. Now, with the opposition, I don't know if we'll make it. So again, that's what's important today. So battery storage systems have zero emissions. And that's so important to us, people who care about climate change. There's no air pollution from BESS. Minimal land usage. This notes we can get 25 megawatts of capacity on an acre of land. So with 17,000 megawatts, you can figure it's a few hundred acres of land that are being used to be an anchor, a Swiss Army knife for the grid. There's no groundwater impact. BESS units are sealed. They don't use water. They're placed on concrete pads or crushed stone. They do not use or contaminate water. We put this big red underline here because when you think about gas plants, they use a lot of water, and the data centers that are coming in use a lot of water. And sometimes the opposition just kind of conflates all that. But BESS systems don't use water. And when you put out a BESS fire, if there is one, there's never been one in Texas, you don't use water. That's a very important part of our system. So the Texas legislature has been very sensitive to safety issues, and we have House Bill 3824 that was passed, and that adopts the safety standards of the National Fire Protection Association and the Underwriters Laboratory. We have emergency response planning and annual training for the first responders. All of our plans are filed. All of the fire control plans are filed with the fire marshal of the state of Texas, who's part of the insurance department. So every battery system has a plan on file and trains the local first responders in how to handle a battery fire. And battery fires are a little bit like a fire on your stove. You don't put water on them. You let them burn. We have thermal controls that will shut down the battery systems if there is a fire to prevent thermal runaway. House Bill 3809 established requirements for the full financial requirements to be met and posted ahead of time for decommissioning, for land restoration, recycling, and disposal. Now, batteries and clean energy are the only energy sources that have this requirement. The energy sources that are known as fossil fuels don't have this particular requirement. Kind of an interesting standard, isn't it? So House Bill 3229 requires the recyclers to have a plan and give that plan to CCEQ and post full financial assurance so that those plans can be met. So when you look inside those units, this is what it looks like. We've got individual batteries, we've got fire suppressant, we've got thermal management, we've got remote monitoring and emergency shutdown systems. So all these systems are running under the management of individuals who are controlling them and monitoring them all the time. If there's a problem in one of these containers, that container shut down and the ones around it as well. All the containers have some geographic spread, a few feet between each other, so the fires won't spread. But they're very sophisticated in the planning to avoid fires and to control them should one ever occur. So we've had reports on BESS safety. This report that's referenced here was using 35 different incidents. They were from 2012 to 2024, and the battery storage fire rate has decreased. And the standards that we have today are in response to fires that we've had in the past. And it's very highly regulated, and the state of Texas follows national standards. So there was a Moss Landing fire that was just outside of this time. It was on the West Coast, Moss Landing in California, and it was a more significant fire. But it's a type of battery that we don't have in Texas and never will have because it's a type of battery that's not installed anymore. So this is really the risk that batteries help us with. In 2012, we had a major 2011, we had a major problem. Then again with Winter Storm Uri in 2021. In 2011, FERC gave us a lot of recommendations. They weren't followed. After Winter Storm Uri, we had a lot of winterization, but we also now have a significant battery presence. And that's huge for controlling the blackouts that happened. You know, we had I don't know, I may be the only one that had their power out during that time, but I don't think so. It was pretty widespread in Texas. If we'd had the battery fleet that we have now, we might have still had rolling blackouts, but we wouldn't have had the long-term blackout for several days that we had. So this is the real reason that BESS is so important to the state. It helps us to keep our system up and operating during these times of extreme weather, whether it's hot or cold. So you can see on the chart on the left, you can see how much battery prices have gone down. Now, I'm not sure, but what we may be seeing a little bit of a turn up right now because of the Trump tariffs and the war and how that's impacting everything. But battery costs have gone down, and that's one of the reasons that we've had so much installation. And then you can see this growth curve on the right side of the left-hand graph. It just gives you a visual illustration. It doesn't get 2025 in there, but you see 2025 was another big part of the growth. The chart uh, on the right hand under the green, the one at the bottom, does give a sense of how the BESS has grown. And you can see what's projected again through 2026. I'm hopeful that we'll reach this 26,000 megawatts. But again, we're losing projects, and that's a big issue. Texas is now number one in battery storage capacity in the states. We passed California. We're now over 17 gigawatts or 17,000 megawatts. So that's a huge part of the safety and cost and affordability of our grid. So battery storage projects, along with renewables, are providing millions in property taxes across Texas. Goose Creek Independent School District, Baytown, Harris County. This is all bringing it home for y'all because it's in your area. And these are very significant amounts of money that will come in over the next 20 years. And renewables of solar, wind, they provide the same thing. Batteries are not renewables. Batteries are a separate category. But just to keep that in mind, anyone who's trying to slow down growth of batteries and renewables is also harming their local taxing districts. So we invite you to join us. Yes to BESS is our organization. You can learn more about Yes to BESS at our website. There's a Texas BESS fact sheet there. We invite you to write a letter to the editor. We'll help you write it. You can sign up to get training to do what I'm doing now. And everyone's welcome to do this, whatever your background is. We've got all the information that you can need, and I think we've got responses to most of the questions that people ask. If you ask a question today and I don't have an answer, we'll get back to you with the answer. But you can use your phone and use this QR code to go to Yes to BESS and sign our petition, which is nothing but a petition to help move it forward and show that there's support for it. So we've got frequently asked question pages available. Environment Texas, which is a friend, and we've just been speaking at some events that they have put on. They've got a FAQ page. The Texas Solar and Storage Association is a professional association of companies that are involved, and they've got a good fact sheet. And then we've also got our fact sheet at Yes to BESS. So I've got some more slides. I'm not sure how much time do we have, Joe? How are we doing?
We're doing well. So if you want to take another 10 minutes or so, that'd be great.
Okay,
And
that'd be
I know
fine.
I know we'll probably have questions also.
Okay. Well, I'll just go through these slides quickly because our battery storage system safe. Yes, they're very safe. They're cyber secure. They're planned to have cybersecurity at their core. The Lone Star Infrastructure Protection Act requires that we not buy battery storage components from adverse countries. That means China, really, more than anything. And China's been a big provider, but we're phased that out, and we're building batteries in Texas. In the red down below, the NERC is the national regulatory body, so we're using their standards in Texas. So it's very highly and well regulated. So the Moss Landing fire that I mentioned was at this facility on the left. Can you see any significant difference between that facility and the one on the right?
On the left, it's indoors. The outside,
Absolutely.
yeah, the other
That
one's
was a
outside.
factor in the fire that occurred. And one of the things that the misinformation folks say is, they talk about how bad Moss Landing was and that could happen here. They failed to acknowledge that the type of battery at Moss Landing will never be installed in Texas. And the issues that were there with this different design are largely mitigated by having the units spread out, not under a roof, and subject to this new regulation. So that's a pretty good example, I think, of a half truth. So these are some key differences, and you can look at these, but basically the one in the middle, I think, is maybe the most significant. It was a different type of battery than the one that we have. Of course, well, they were indoors, we're outdoors, different type of battery, and the new code since then that just keeps responding and getting better is going to be very strong in protecting us. So there's a lot of things that you can burn a lot more easily than a battery energy storage unit, including gas stations and fires on your stove. And putting a battery fire out is much like a fire on your stove. You don't put water on it. You let it burn out. There's some suppressants you can use, but basically you let it burn out, just like you do. You're careful with it like you are your stove. Water is not the way to go. The units are scattered all over Texas. I like seeing this. The red is coming. The yellow or orangey looking one, those are the ones that are installed. So you can see that it's by being all over Texas, that's helpful to get the power where it's needed on the grid. We're reducing the risk of power outages using batteries. Pretty simple and straightforward. Best is driving energy affordability. We saved 750 million in this winter storm Heather. Best has supplied electricity when it's most needed and helps avoid grid failure, basically in high heat times and high cold times. And we've got some references here for things that you can listen to and go to. And this is the Lone Star Energy Alliance. This is a group of companies that are involved. And so there's, again, a lot of information, but you can look this group up, lonestarrsa.org. So I think basically I just end by saying that I think batteries are a particularly important part of the grid today. They fit CCL because they're clean, they're energy efficient, and they're important for the consumer because they save money. And I'd be glad to answer any questions. If I don't have answers, we'll find them. Thank you.
Larry, I have one. I'd like to talk about that League City BESS plant that was proposed, but I guess it was never built.
Yes.
And so I was actually directly involved in that. Susan and the Green Light America folks have reached out to me to try to enlist some of our local League City CCL volunteers to help get that moving through the city hall and all that kind of stuff. And so I was directly coordinating with our League City CCL volunteers, emailing to them with all the details of the project and what we were asking them to do to go to the city hall meetings. And so what happened with that was actually kind of interesting, but also kind of not very good. The local League City volunteers understood the location of where that was being proposed, which was more or less an industrial area, but it was also directly across the highway from just a regular housing development with a local, K through 6 elementary school, almost directly across from where the proposed facility was. And once people realized the siting of that, and they became very, very concerned about the safety. And I was trying to follow up with the organizers of that particular project to get more safety information that we could share with our volunteers. And we never received any real safety information. And we just basically lost all of the League City CCL volunteers on that. And so I'm not sure what can be done better in the future, but I think from my perspective, there needed to be more coordination and really being able to share all the safety information so that people's, concerns could be alleviated and so that they could really help out where we needed them to help out.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, Joe. Yeah, I think starting a new initiative like this is a response to that. And I think I'll talk with Lindsay and Susan about how we can do a better job and be sure that that input is worked in, because I think the frequently asked questions and the best information now is better probably than how long ago was that?
That was when the League City project was really being announced publicly. I don't remember, 3 years or so, approximately.
Okay.
I don't remember the exact year.
Yeah, and I think I think that what we're doing now is largely a response to that and what happened with the other two and others. So I apologize. I'm sorry that the information wasn't there, and I'll be sure that we work on that to try to have the specific things that you needed, even if they're late now. It will come up again. So
That's
thank
great.
you. Yeah,
Yeah, you're
thank you,
welcome.
Joe.
And that maybe raises another question about where should we really go to get that information? I was trying to reach out directly to the people that were organizing the project, and they basically never really responded with anything I was asking for. Or is it really going to be folks like Greenlight America that's you know standing up and saying, yes, we have that information, come to us and we'll provide that.
Yes, that is the intent, and I think that Lindsay Lambert will be the key person for that. And if you go to the website and ask for information, Lindsay will respond. And
Excellent.
she's last session there was a anti-renewable bill that Senator Colcore sponsored, and we had a chance to bring people in from all over the state. Lindsay brought in, like 100 people to testify against the bill. There's never been that many people testify.
Wow.
She's a very capable organizer and knows how to get these things done. So I'm gonna defer to Lindsay, but we'll respond to that, Joe, and be sure
Great.
that we now have what you would like to have had then. Okay,
Wonderful.
great.
Okay, I see Barry, you're next, and then after Barry, what Carter?
So I have a two-part question. One is for Joe. Who is the developer of that Leak City project?
All of that is completely gone from my brain. I don't remember any of those names.
Oh, okay.
But you could do a Google search, and all of these news articles were in the Houston Chronicle at that point in time. I'm sure you
Okay.
could still
Great,
find
great,
that info.
great, great, great.
Yeah.
So, Larry, I have a question for you. I know you can't really answer this question, exactly, but what's the payback time period for one of these projects? Would you say just order of magnitude? Because they're building them all over the place. So you wonder that, it must be a lot of money here, but you never get really a straight answer of
Yeah.
what the financials are of these things.
That's a good question. I'm afraid I don't have an exact answer for you. The battery life is about 15 years. Uh, and during that time, it's an arbitrage.
Yeah, it's an arbitrage. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you buy low, you sell high. Somehow when I do stocks, it's the opposite. But anyway,
Right,
that's the theory.
right, right,
That's the theory.
right. But
Yeah.
but
But
you never, you ask these people and they never really give you a straight answer on it. But so
yeah, but
I'd be curious, just order of magnitude, what we're talking about here. Anyway,
well, I can't tell you exactly, but I can tell you that it's high enough that the batteries that battery developers want to keep installing them. So
yeah, yeah, yeah,
whatever their
yeah,
target return is, it's there. And
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
and Texas is generally speaking a good market for batteries and renewables because you can get access to the grid. You can
yeah,
connect.
yeah,
And until recently, it's been reasonably there's been reasonable regulation and reasonable reception
yeah, yeah, yeah,
among the people. But
yeah,
unfortunately, around the country, there's a lot of uprising against renewables, batteries, and data centers.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
and I think
yeah,
each of those needs to be looked at individually.
Yeah.
Data centers are a huge concern in my mind, not just because of water. I mean, not just because of power, but because of water. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
Texas
Yeah.
has significant water issues. I'm getting a
Yeah.
little off
Yeah.
topic, but batteries don't use water. You don't use water or anything with batteries, and so
Yeah.
that makes
Yeah.
them very attractive.
Yeah.
Natural gas plants use a lot of water,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
there are all these factors, Barry. That's really a good question. I'll see what I can come up with and get back to you.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
What car?
Um, Thanks, Larry, for a very interesting presentation. So this is kind of actually following on a little bit from Barry's question. My understanding is that the BBB, the bill that was passed last year, it still left credits for batteries in there. So there's still federal credits for batteries. And however, it's got more stringent foreign entity of concern requirements in there, which is, I think, what you were alluded to, saying that we can no longer get batteries from China. My memory of that is that it's based on certain percentages of, you can have so much percent from foreign entity of concern up to this year, and then less later, and then less, and it's all kind of complicated, and I think not very clear as to how that's all going to roll out. But but along those lines, where are the batteries and the battery components actually going to come from if we can't get them from China? Because I don't think we've really developed a lot of battery manufacturing capability here in the U.S. So have you looked into that at all?
Uh, Thanks. That's really a good point. Uh, in response to the tax situation, batteries seem to have a preferential view in this administration and in the Republican Congress. And so the battery benefits, tax benefits are extended out. And I think you described it well. It's confusing and it's requiring a higher and higher percentage of U.S. Components, or at least, let's say, non-adversarial components, because I think if it was made in Holland or the UK, that would probably be okay. But I don't think they have that capacity. We are developing capacity, and there are several thousand jobs being developed in Texas to do battery storage systems. Uh, and some of the battery storage capability that Ford and others have developed, I think, is being converted because they're not using it for EVs. But I'm not really clear on that. And I think that's a question I want to learn more about. So we can communicate about that, because I think that's really a good point. What are we going to do if we're not relying on China? And
Yeah.
China has and the concern that comes up, and it's again, it's one of those areas. Cybersecurity is very strong. We can cover the back doors. The National Energy Lab did some research and found that the inverters the inverters convert the direct current from batteries or renewables to alternating current, and that there's no back door on those. And so that's a good thing. But it's not a full answer, because they weren't able to examine all of the thousands of different types that are out there. But it was a good beginning. And that in a recent hearing at the Senate Business and Commerce Committee here in Austin, and that's the committee that oversees ERCOT. There was some really good testimony by an expert, Dr. Stewart, from those labs about those reviews. And I thought that was very helpful. There was also some testimony about the jobs that are being created in Texas. And I don't have those exact numbers now, but it is underway, and we're seeing battery manufacturing here. Texas can be an innovation leader. Texas has been an innovation leader in energy, and a lot of that's in Houston. I mean, you're in the hotbed of it, for green energy as well as long-term fossil fuel work. So I don't have exact numbers or information, but I'm in line with your train of thought, and I appreciate you bringing those questions up.
No, thank you.
Mark, go ahead. Mark, are you on mute? I don't think we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Larry, I know you're focused mainly on Texas, but do you have any idea? You mentioned California. Are there other states that are starting to use battery storage for energy?
Yeah, yes, there are. I've seen that data, but I don't have it on the top of my head. But there are several states that are moving right along in the multi-thousand megawatt level of installations. And I think that just about every grid operator in the United States, wherever they're located, wants more batteries on their grid for all the reasons that I've outlined. So I think we're seeing that, Mark. I don't have that data, but I can get that. I'm kind of
Yeah,
I stay kind of focused on Texas. It's big enough to keep me busy.
yeah, but
Larry,
you're seeing a general trend towards more grids wanting battery storage.
Yes. Because basically there are three grids in the United States: the East Grid, the West Grid, and Texas. And that's a little bit of simplification, but Texas developed this energy-only ERCOT model to move out from under some of the FERC, Federal Energy Regulatory Commission regulation. We're not fully out from under it, but it limits it, and so we're able to move faster on certain things. It also means we're not interconnected, and we can't sell energy out of ERCOT, and we can't bring energy into ERCOT. In Winter Storm Uri, for instance, that wouldn't have made any difference because nobody had any extra energy to sell anyway, and we didn't have any to sell.
Larry, I have some feedback regarding the suppliers of some of the battery storage equipment. I remember seeing in the news, I think it was last year, and the news was this. There was a company from South Korea that was developing a battery plant. I think it was in Georgia. And the reason that it turned out being in the news and had some, nationwide attention was that unfortunately, that was right around the time that the ICE folks were becoming active. And it turned out that they arrested all of the South Korean workers and deported them all. So very strange story, but I know that South Korea appears to be a large producer of battery equipment.
So you're saying they had to stop producing or just slow down their
Well,
production?
the ICE arrested their workers, and I don't know how that was ever resolved, but they were building out a brand new battery plant in Georgia, I believe it was.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's so complicated. Every type of industry that relies on building a staff and then something like that happens and you lose it. It's construction in South Texas is in the same mode. I mean, that's not directly what we're talking about, but I just think that what's happening with ICE is so difficult for us, and I I don't know how much that's going to impact the work that we're doing and the work that new battery development will be hindered by that. But that's good. That was Georgia, right?
I believe it was being built in Georgia.
Yeah.
Any questions from anybody else? Okay, if not, Larry, this was great, and thank you for that. And
Thank you.
if you wouldn't mind stopping or sharing it, I'm going to continue on with our agenda.
Okay. Yeah, let me just make one comment. If anybody wants to be in touch with me, my email is really easy: larrylinenschmidt@gmail.com. No dot. It's just larrylinenschmidt@gmail.com. So I'll be glad to, if I don't have the answers, there's a lot of these things that Lindsay and Susan will have more detail on than what I have.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
So I'm sharing the agenda again. Hopefully everybody can see that. Oh, by the way, let me just go back here. So I do have a click here link to pull up the slide presentation, but the slide presentation is not actually loaded yet into that location. And I need to work on that after the meeting is over. So hopefully this will be working after the meeting is over. Okay, so this is the slide that I have in all of our meetings every month. I call this a group discussion and reflection. What can I do as a volunteer climate advocate? And so the reason, in my opinion, why this is so important, and the reason that I keep including this slide, is just to remind everybody that we're all volunteers. Nobody here gets paid to do anything. And if we, the CCL volunteer members, don't take time to do anything, then literally nothing is going to be happening. And so this is really a critical thing. And so I'm now including what I call a monthly hint of what everyone here can do to to help out. And so this month's hint is to join us for our Earth Day CCL tabling event coming up this April 25th. And our contact is Mark Haranon. We have a slide further down where Mark will be able to share all the details of what we do every year with our Earth Day, and if you would like to get involved to help out with that. The other thing I just wanted to touch on briefly is that last month when I was on this page, we had a discussion about the new CCL training that's called Bridge training, which is really about how we can better communicate with people that we know, like family members, colleagues, whoever, even maybe someone on the street that may ask a question about climate change or the weather. And so I wanted to touch on that, and then I'm going to ask if anyone had a chance to actually start any conversations with other people. But I had a direct experience on this topic, and I want to share that because I thought it was interesting. So what happened is that at my local Kroger grocery store, for the past month or so, there have been salesmen there from Entergy Energy, and every time I've been shopping there every week, they would always stop everybody, and they always ask me, "Hey, who do you get your electricity from?" And I would say that, well, I get my electricity from Octopus Energy, which is a retailer here that's available in Texas. I think they're available everywhere in Texas. And I always told the salesperson that, hey, I think they're the lowest cost I found. And plus they're 100% renewable. And I don't have solar panels on my house, but this is my alternative on how I can help contribute to renewable energy by starting a contract with Octopus Energy. And so the guy, it was the same guy always time, but he forgot that he always talked to me. I said, you know what? I've heard great things about Octopus Energy, and I know that I can't compete with them. So I said, well, thanks. And then most recently, I have this experience every week I go there. So it was last week where it was a different sales guy talking to me, and he asked me the same question, and I gave him the same answer. But by a circumstance, there was another Kroger customer standing right next to us I just had that same conversation, and he heard my reaction. And this guy, this Kroger customer, said to me, "Hey, they have a really good deal. I think maybe you should look into it." So I told this guy, "Well, I think I have a better deal, and plus it's renewable energy, and you can avoid all that pollution from electricity generated from coal or natural gas, and I think you can get a better deal." And this Kroger customer, it was so funny. He said, "Yeah, I'm going to look into that." He said, "Great." So on the next page here, I don't know who everybody gets their electricity from, because in Texas we can choose from so many different providers. But I've had an excellent experience, and I wanted to share that. So that's the name of the company right there. Their logo is a pink octopus. They're Octopus Energy. And I've even included the web link here. You can sign up for 100% renewable electricity. There's the web link for Octopus. Or if you're interested in 100% renewable, but maybe you don't like Octopus for some reason, I've also included the web link there for the Texas website called Texas Power to Choose. And so I thought people would be interested in that. So I'm just going to stop sharing for a minute and just ask everybody, like I always do. So what have you guys been doing during the last month? And have you had a chance to have any conversations, or how else are you helping out with climate advocacy? Anybody?
Well, I'll jump in there. I'm good at jumping in there. When did we do that tabling, Mark? That was in the last month, wasn't it?
Mark, you're on mute.
I think it was. We were at the tabling at the Nature Center, Jesse Jones Nature Center, and we were able to talk to people, and it's always good to reach out and talk to people because no matter what you hear in the news cycle, when you talk to people, you get uh, people who care, who are interested in what's going on. They're reasonable. Um, we didn't have any counter sayers that I was in touch with. I mean, if anything, the counter sayer was somebody who was so um, you know, all that we weren't doing enough, that was the only thing. And I explained to him that the people who are discouraged because we're not doing enough, or they're overwhelmed with the hugeness of this problem, are basically in the same bucket as the deniers, because they won't work with us. They won't do anything because you know, they they find it too much. So it's good to stay with nose to the toes on the path to find hope, because the more work you do, the more hope you find. Greta Thunberg, thank you very much. And but I found it very good. We got a bunch of signups. We got 21, 22 signups, and that was very gratifying. I did an art project with the kids that they all liked. That was very good. And yeah, so that was Mark and me and Hans and Barry, and we had a group of us, and it was a fun date. So
Thank you,
there.
Roseanne.
Mhm.
Excellent. McCart?
Yeah, so I had a great experience a couple of weeks ago at an energy conference where my representative was actually on a panel, and I'm the liaison to her. And I was able to talk with her for about 15 minutes after the panel was over, which is the first time I've actually had a face-to-face conversation. Um, and it was great actually, and ended up setting some follow-on actions with her office after that meeting. So I'm trying to get CCL more engaged with her office, basically, as a result of that.
Wonderful. That was the Sarah Week convention.
That was the Sarah Week conference, which was a great conference. But for me, that was the highlight of it.
Amazing. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Excuse
Anybody
me,
else? Go
who
ahead.
was the congressman?
So it's my congressman, Texas '07, Lizzie Fletcher.
Lizzie Fletcher. Good
Yeah.
old Lizzie Fletcher.
Yeah.
God
Do you know
bless.
her? Have you?
Well, she's just known to be one of the best for
Oh, okay.
us. It's not like working with, they've been trying to reach out to Crenshaw, who is our guy. And of course, he's a lame duck. And we do have, let's see, I think we do interact with Sean Finney, who's running for that seat on the Democratic side,
Hmm.
but we haven't heard much about the Republican. There's a lady, I guess, who's interested in that seat.
Hmm.
Um, haven't heard much about her, but they presume she'll get it. And I'm hoping the opposite, but I'm hoping there's going to be a blue sweep through here. But that's what I hope. But God bless Lizzie Fletcher.
Anybody else have anything on this particular topic of what we've been doing for our climate advocacy recently? Okay, if not, I'm going to share again and we'll continue. All right. Larry, this is the page I have about the CCL Texas State Action Team. Let me just go to slideshow mode again. So recently, I am a member of I'm a member of CCL, obviously, but I'm also a member of this particular action team called Texas State Action Team. And I noticed just recently, I think in the past week, our other Larry, Larry Howe, had sent out an action alert to all the members of that team with three particular things that he was asking people to do. And so I'm sharing these here, and these are all links that people can click on as well. The first thing is that there's a new thing going on called plug-in solar. And I'm not sure how many people have heard of that or are aware of it. But it helps you avoid the huge major expense of actually doing a full-blown roof solar panel project, which can be quite expensive. And this is a sort of a lower cost way of doing that, from what I understand. And basically, you would buy small, what are called plug-in solar panels, and they actually plug into the outlet in your house without a whole lot of fuss. I think that's the basics of it. And so we do have a link here on where you can learn more about that. And then there's another link here because apparently our Texas state legislators have become involved in this in some way. I don't know the details. I haven't studied that. But this is another link here to click on that and see what they are doing about it and what we can do about that to help advocate for that. And then lastly, if you have not heard of the CCL Texas State Action Team, you can go here on the third link to find out more info about that, and then join that if you're interested in particularly participating in that. So I'm going to pause here. And Larry, I know that you have a lot of information about what's happening with that. And so please jump in and share anything else you would like to share on that topic.
Well, I would echo Joe's invitation to join the Texas State Action Team. That can mean whatever you want it to mean, really, but you'll be informed about what we're trying to do at the Capitol. We have a lobby day every session. That's a 2-session tradition now. Texas is an odd duck when it comes to how the legislature works. You know, we have a formal session for, I think it's 140 days every other year. So we're not in a session now, but yet we are, because the Speaker of the House and the Lieutenant Governor give charges to the committees. And so the committees start holding hearings, and those hearings are about those topics. And a lot of them are very much topics that we're interested in. So we try and get involved in these early hearings. I mentioned the Business and Commerce hearing. It was invited testimony only, so we could watch that. If you're interested in learning about the grid and understanding where it is, it's about a 3.5-hour session. I wouldn't watch it all at once, but you can go to Texas Senate and look up committees, and you can find that recording. And there's a lot of good information. So that's a learning tool. But what we're trying to do is to get written testimony from all over the state. We're trying to build relationships, just like Walker. I was so excited. I was, man, when you said that about your congresswoman, I thought that was super. But if we can build at the district level relationships with district offices, then I think we can build more momentum that way, because people pay attention to their constituents when they're elected. So the Senate and the House, local offices are important. But we try to get in written testimony and verbal testimony. If you want to come to Austin and talk for 2 or 3 minutes, that's generally all they give you. You're welcome to do that. But keeping up is by being part of the team and working at the district level, we think is so important for the future of clean energy, which has to be fought for and protected in Texas, because we're always on our back foot in these sessions. And we're working with people who are very informed, the Solar Association and others. So if you're interested, Larry Howe or I would be glad to provide more information.
Thank you, Larry. And let me put in a plug. For those of you who don't know, we have Kobe Johnston on the call with us, and Kobe is from the office of one of our local Houston reps, Rep Morales Shaw, and that's part of our effort to try to maintain good relations with our local legislators. Kobe, I may be putting you on the spot, but since we're on this topic, would you like to share just a few words or anything that's relevant to this discussion?
Yeah, in his presentation, there's a couple of orgs that we work with. We work really closely with the Sierra Lions Club in our office, so we're pretty close with Cyrus. He's a great advocate and someone who fights for environmental issues. That guy's a rock star. How he goes up to battle against people. and for environmental like things. And we're also part of the Texas Water Caucus. We're also part of the Texas Energy and Climate Caucus as well for the House. Um, they're coming up on a new meeting, but that's a members only. So I that information from that caucus I get secondhand from the rep. But we do sit on the Environmental Regulation Committee. But the weird thing is, I'll add to Larry's point about how kind of funky the state legislator is that, it could be, the committee can be called the Environmental Regulation Committee, but it depends on statute code of what committee actually has jurisdiction over that bill or what you're trying to do. And it also depends on the speaker too, because the speaker might be an environmental bill and it should go to like, natural resource or environmental regulation, but it ends up going to state affairs because maybe all his buddies are on there, or it's a more redder committee. So then it kind of adds a little twist to it to where, you could be on those environmental regulation, you could be like, holding people's feet to the fire, but there's always like, little chess moves so you can jump around or just send that bill to the right committee you want that will just send it to the floor. And yeah, so the representative, she's very involved with the environment, and she's really like, the environment's her number one thing. This is her second term sitting on environmental reg, so she's actually excited to be on it. And also add to your thing, I was trying to get my dog inside, but how I've been helping with not necessarily advocating for climate change, but I guess like doing good for my environment and my home. I, I finally redid my garden and I rerouted. I have this like gully drain, French drain patio set up. It makes a D, but the water goes under the fence. So I put some brick and I put some mud, and I'm now collecting about 100% of that rainwater into my garden. And I got everything from watermelon to strawberries to green bell peppers to tomatoes, cherry tomatoes. Um, and it's pretty sick. It's pretty fun. I've done gardening before. My next project is a mulch composter, but yeah. So if you guys have any issues, I can drop my um contact. I'll drop my contact in the chat, and so you can just call our office or reach out to us.
Thank you, Kobe. And good to hear about your garden. That's excellent.
Yes.
Hey, Kobe,
All right.
Kobe, I just want to express my appreciation to Representative Morales Shaw. She is our friend. She is on top of so much that's going on with the environment, including clean energy. But she got an award from the Texas uh, powerhouse and the caucus, and they called her the assassin for her defense of the Bay at Corpus Christi. And I
Yeah,
meet.
because we had our desalination bill that
Yeah.
got killed. We had our Pitts bill, which the Pitts bill was basically like a land fax bill, which basically, if you bought land in the state of Texas, you were going to be told whether or not there was any uh, chemicals or oil pits or waste pits buried on top, because there's a big impact of farmers who've moved in and they bought land. They put all this money in the land and then they run tests because you can send your soil to A&M,
Yeah.
and their plants are dying, animals are dying. And we also tried to do a PFAS study, which that's where we're probably going to bring back next session, which that was basically going to do a study on the impacts on PFAS.
Those are
And
the forever chemicals. Is that right?
Yes.
yeah,
Yep.
Sure were.
petrophyllalkyl.
That's great. Well, she hosted a group from Houston, the Air Alliance Houston, brought in
Yeah,
like 40 people, and I testified with them, and I benefited from her getting a lobbyist to bring in lunch for us. So thank her for my free lunch. and thank her for her good work. I am a big fan of Representative Morales Shaw. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I appreciate it. I'll send it. I'll pass the message.
If I'm here in Austin, if I can help you in any way, call on me.
Okay, perfect. I'm in Houston, so if you ever do swing by the Capitol, Riley or Fabiana is our chief and policy director, so
Okay.
definitely swing by, talk to her, of how we could maybe like try to work those bills better next year. Because next, a lot of our bills, it was like the PFA study, we just ran out of time with that one, and the Pitts bill we ran out of time, but the Texas Chemical Alliance, they killed that one. So
Yeah. Well, that's a strong group.
yeah, it is a strong group.
So, well, keep up the good fight. You know, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you and the representative and the whole team and what you do. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. And I'll send the kudos to her. I'll pass it along.
Thank you, Kobe. All right, I'm going to share my screen again, and we'll keep going. We're getting towards the end, but a little bit more to go. All right. So I always put in this plug because right after we finish our meeting at 12 noon, we always have our CCL National monthly meeting call. And so all the details are here if anybody's interested in joining that. You can see there are 2 web links there, and there's the phone number if you want to just dial in. We have a web link for more info. And so for this month's meeting, there will be speaking Catherine Markova with Climate Interactive. And if you haven't heard of Climate Interactive, they're the ones who developed the En-ROADS online modeling tool for seeing how we can turn the knobs and the dials and how we can help solve climate change by different policy actions. So that should actually be a very, very, very good presentation to attend. Also a plug here for our Cocktails and Conversation event, which happens every month towards the end of the month. This month, it's April 25th at 4 p.m. The topic will be the ABCs of AI and its use for climate advocacy. And the speaker will be Tiffany Bradfield. Barry, do you have anything you want to add on that?
I'm sorry, on the cocktails.
Barry stepped away, and they keep talking about doing the New York Times quiz. And I have to say, as a backup for that, well, it's a New York Times styled climate quiz. And if you want to study, go to the Citizens Climate Lobby CCL Texas Facebook page. And that's where I post articles that Barry finds to make his questions. So there's your cheat sheet right there.
Okay.
So, and
Roseanne, just
also
to,
a plug for what I do, which is post jokes and beauty and information, and I keep it proactive and positive, but sometimes just the facts, ma'am, get in there. So
Roseanne, just
yeah,
to clarify, I just wanted to state that the quiz that you're referring to comes after the presentation is completed, correct?
yes, and Barry
Okay,
designs it.
got it.
He's a
Thank you.
good quiz maker.
Excellent.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to keep going. There's also another event coming up in April, which is our yearly CCL Conservative Lobby Day event. Again, because CCL is, we're nonpartisan, basically, is the way that we describe it, right? We don't take sides, Democrat or Republican. We really just want to elect the people that are going to do the job needed to solve climate change. And so for the conservatives, this is a specific conservative lobby day event. It's taking place this year, April 18th and 21st. It's on Zoom. I think at this point it's too late to register for it, but I just wanted to mention it because if people are not aware we have a conservative event, there are some people that maybe don't know and they'll be interested in that. I'm going to keep going. And then also another plug for the separate Woodlands CCL chapter for anyone who lives up near the Woodlands or in the Woodlands. And they're meeting every week. And for anyone that might be interested in attending their weekly meetings, the details are here also.
And just as an addendum, we're hopefully going to be doing that in person as well as on Zoom. So we just had somebody from our district, um, from Southwest Houston. They've gerrymandered our district uh, so gerrymanderishly that we have people in Southwest Houston that have the same congressperson as we do up here in the north. So
Wow.
hopefully I'll be keeping you informed about the in-person meetings. Right now, as I told you, we have to have that paper in order to sign up at the community center.
Thank you, Roseanne. Okay, and now we're going to go through our 5 lever status reports. And as far as our lobby team goes, I think I mentioned previously that we have lost our lobby overall coordinator for the Houston chapter. That was Judith previously, and we're still looking for a person to fill that role. Here's a list of the congressional reps and our CCL liaisons that are in the metro area that I'm aware of. And I do want to just share some very, very good news because we always have a couple of open positions, and we've just recently filled 2 of those positions. And so for Texas 09, Rep. Al Green, we have Michael. Michael, you're on the call here today with us. Thank you for joining. And Will Steinbaker have volunteered to become the co-CCL liaisons for the Texas 09 district. Well, thank you so much for that, Michael. And then also for the Texas 36, that's Rep. Brian Babin. We now have Chrissy Stone, who volunteered to take the liaison role for that position as well. And we still do have 2 open positions on our list. That's the Texas 10, Michael McCall, and Texas 22, Troy Nels, although I think neither of them are running again, if I'm remembering correctly. But in any case, it's the Texas 10 and Texas 22 districts where we still need some volunteers as liaisons. Any feedback on anything on this page?
Hey, Joe, it's great that you got new volunteers. I just had a quick question about Chrissy Stone. 'Cause she was a constituent in Texas 07. And so has she moved to Texas 36, or is she just volunteering to be the liaison there?
You know, that's a really good question. I don't know if she moved or not, but she said she's volunteering for the Texas 36. And so it's possible she's not actually a constituent there, but she was interested in helping out.
Okay, great. Yeah, because she was she's very interested in lobbying, and she actually goes and meets with representatives and so on her own sometimes, and sets meetings up. So that's great. But she may not be a constituent. Is it? I'm not sure. I don't know. So I'm just curious. I just was asking. Yeah. Thanks.
I'm not sure either. Thanks for
Yeah.
mentioning it, though.
Yeah.
Okay, and then moving on to our grass tops team, which is run by Court Hall. Court was not able to be on the call today, but again, the purpose for this particular lever is for us to reach out to what we refer to as local community leaders. And those could be business leaders, for example, small businesses, or faith leaders. I'm hearing a lot of background noise. All right. And so if anyone would like more information on the Grass Tops team, feel free to reach out to Court. Her email is there. I'm going to keep going. And Grassroots, Mark.
Thank you. I'll see if I can talk. Yeah, our event is in 2 weeks, 12 to 5 p.m. at Discovery Green. And like Roseanne said, it's a way to regenerate your hope because you meet people who are interested, and a lot of them don't know much about climate change. And so that's an opportunity to educate them. And just seeing them willing to sign up with our group or talk about it, yeah, it can be very hopeful. So if you want to just stop by, we have a number of volunteers that are going to do the time from 12 to 5. But you're welcome to stop by.
Yeah, and here's more details about that. So this is always held every year at the Discovery Green, which is, if you haven't been there, it's a Houston city park, almost in the middle of downtown Houston, just a couple blocks away from the actual downtown. And so there is a link there if you would like to see more information about what's going on there. That link is not a CCL web link, but it's an actual event web link. And please feel free to reach out to Mark if you do have time to volunteer.
So just to be clear, Mark, you at this time are not looking for volunteers to table for this event. You have a full slate.
We're almost full.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I can talk about it with our meeting if you want more volunteers.
Yeah, everybody's welcome.
Yeah, the more the merrier. It's one of those fun events. And Roseanne, you've done those. You mentioned about the one that was last month, and it's just a fun thing to do. And I always like to refer back to this photo that was taken at our tabling event there just a couple of years ago. You can see the children there with their parents, and it really is just a fun event. Okay, we're going to keep going, and now the media team, which is what I help out with. And one of the more important things that I do is from the media team is I do publish our monthly newsletter that goes out every month. And I always include the web links there. I hope that everyone who the newsletter was sent to, they have received it in your inbox. And the other very important thing we do is we like to write letters to the editor of our local newspaper when people have time. And if there are some good news articles we can respond to. And so that's another really important thing. And on the next page, I always like to refer back to this, where we did have a letter writing workshop that we did last year in September 2025. And I've included the web link there for all of the details that we covered during that workshop session so that you can refer back to that. And I'm always available and interested in helping anybody that would like to write a letter to the editor. My email address is there at the bottom. Let's see, moving on, then chapter development. Mark, anything new you want to share about chapter development?
Michael, I think he's still on the call, has volunteered to help organize. So, Michael, appreciate that.
Thank you, Michael. All right, anything else about this?
I can't think of anything.
Okay. And so that is the end of our formal slide deck presentation. We still have time here at the end if anyone would like to just do any informal discussion, any kind of a roundtable Q&A or anything else that anybody would like to share or talk about.
Hey, Joe, just a thought came to me when you were talking about the LTEs. We had some pretty good luck 2 to 3 years ago with sending in LTEs to the Houston Chronicle, and since then, really not so much. I don't think we've had much published. And I'm not sure why that is. Maybe because of staff changes over there, or maybe the political winds have changed, or what the reason is. But I was just thinking, if we could find an excuse or a reason to actually engage with the editorial staff, that might help to rebuild some connections and maybe help to get, well, I think it'd be very interesting to hear what they have to say about their thoughts about climate and so on. But also just maybe, it may help them to know us and maybe help to get some more letters in that get published.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Let me just finish, Roseanne, really quickly. That's a really good point. And one of the reasons why there's been a drop-off that I know of is that we just haven't had as many volunteers that have been interested in writing letters. We had a really good group a while back, and that group is no longer actively involved in helping out writing letters. And that's one of the reasons that I do like to mention it every week, or I'm sorry, every month, because it is critically important. But so far, I've not been able to really generate that interest again.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Roseanne.
Okay, well, our main guy that gets them published successfully is Dan Burns, and he keeps writing. And that's was his secret of life. He writes at least one a week, and he gets them published. And there are certainly rules that I'm sure you go over in the letter to writing, um, you know, uh, tutorial, but he mentions the name of the article. He mentions the name of any public official that might be impacted. He but he is very successful at getting them published. I I get the paper in the morning, and when he has one in there, I zap it to all of the people in our group so we can give him a big hooray, hurrah for yet another published paper.
So
So
he's still getting them published
he
recently,
is, he
Roseanne,
is
in the Chronicle, Houston
in the
Chronicle.
Chronicle and sometimes on the online version. But yeah, he's been very successful.
That's good to know.
Yeah, it's good to hear. Yeah.
Thank you for
Okay.
sharing. All right. Anybody else? Any topics for discussion before we end the meeting? Anybody? All right. If not, thank you so much for joining us and taking time out of your weekend days. And so I'll let everybody go, but thank you so much again. Have a great rest of the weekend.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you.